Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. What a great group. I appreciate it, and I know that my granddaughter appreciates it. But there's one thing we have to do, as you know what it is. In the event that a fire alarm sounds, remain seated in the auditorium until directed by Springmore staff, and they will tell you where to go and where to exit. Please do it in an orderly manner. Do not use the elevator. And once you're outside, you go to the... You got it. Thank you for listening to that. And thank you very much again for being here. I would like to call this meeting of the Springmore Residents Association to order and welcome you to the 5th Residents Association meeting for 2026. It's great to see all of you and also the people on 1341 that are watching it on here. And it's just really neat for them to have that if they can't get here. I want to know if there's anybody here that's never been to a residents meeting before. If you haven't been...
She's in trouble now.
And the lady that hasn't been, that's getting ready to tell us, she's been here a while, but she's dear.
You are in deep trouble.
I know I am.
Now, what do you want to know?
I want to know your name, your room number, and from where you come.
Oh, Susan Siginski in 789.
That is not who she is.
Okay. All right. Why are you doing this to me? Ann Taylor, 341, and I'm so grateful to be at Springmore, I don't know what to say.
Thank you. Are there any others? Are there any others that have never been here or new residents? Right back here, yes.
I'm Jan Barwick, my husband Al, and this is our first one. And I'm delighted to be at What is it? Springmore.
You're in the right place. Thank you, guys, and welcome. Welcome to Springmore, and welcome to this Residents Association meeting. All of the residents are members of the association. And I'd like to call on Judy Tardif right now to talk just for a few minutes about the endowment fundraising.
It's actually just a sneak peek. This is the poster.
Cassie, hold that up for her.
Do I need to do this? Can you hear me? This is a sneak peek.
Cassie's going to hold it.
Oh, thank you. The endowment campaign starts at the residents meeting next month, so I want y'all to be ready for it. But the posters will be going up today. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Kay Bullock. That beautiful picture is the one she took, and then she dropped it into the poster for me. I couldn't have done that for anything. So thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Judy. We look forward to a great endowment fund raising. Now I'd like to call on Jessica Pagan, Assistant Executive Director. She's going to talk to us for a few minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I just wanted to say that Brad would love to be here with us. He's actually here, but we were at a conference last week, and actually one of the topics were pertaining to AI. So both him and I are really excited about this educational session, and I know that he'll be watching it later. But he is actually in another meeting, so I'm going to share some updates on behalf of both of us. I know that recently we've had some challenges in South Village related to the damaged gas line. Following a thorough review, we wanted to ensure everyone that the temporary fix currently in place at South Village has been deemed safe. Our team continues to work closely with Enbridge to ensure both safety and long-term reliability. Ron has met with an engineer from Enbridge to discuss and develop a long-term solution, which will involve implementing new ways to feed the gas service into South Village. At this time, Enbridge anticipates the full execution of this plan will take approximately 90 days. There's a lot that's involved with execution of the plan. During the process, there may be brief and minimal interruption in service at some point as the lines are connected from the main gas line to the building. But Enbridge is going to be coordinating closely with Ron and the maintenance team to schedule any work during the most appropriate low-use times to minimize any possible interruption with gas and heating and the water temperatures. So I know that Ron is really trying to make sure that that's minimal. As plans progress, communication will continue to be shared with residents so everyone remains informed, and we appreciate the patience and flexibility, understanding as we work through this project. Also, I know that you see a new face back here. We have Carter Ramey. I wanted to recognize her. She is actually an intern in the marketing department at ECU. She's a rising senior there, and she's decided to spend the next few months with us here at Springmore as she's looking into what's next for her career after she completes school. So you'll see her throughout all of Springmore. She's going to be spending time with every department, and we're excited to have her here. Lastly, I know that several residents have asked why Springmore was not specifically listed in the recent U.S. News and World Report rankings as one of the top senior living communities in the country. While we've been recognized by organizations such as Newsweek and Midtown Raleigh News, I'll be honest with you, Brad and I did a lot of research regarding this because we, like you, want to know why we're not listed. The main reason is that each publication uses different methodology and participation processes for their rankings and recognitions. U.S. News and World Report specifically actually bases its senior living ratings heavily on resident and family survey participation. The community is actually paid to sponsor to participate, so this is actually paid survey. So that is why Springmore may not specifically be on that list. Not that Springmore is not a wonderful community, as we all know, but when you look at Newsweek and Midtown Raleigh, those are actually not paid. So therefore, although we may pay to sponsor an ad after the fact, we're not paying to actually participate. That's feedback from everyone in the community. With U.S. News and World Report, I realized that there's over 35,000 senior living communities across the country. Actually, less than 3,000 were included in those surveys. So it's really not a representation of the entire country and all senior living communities. Other publications utilize federally publicized data, which Springmore is excluded from that because we are not licensed through the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Our marketing department is going to be putting together an article in the resident memorandum to provide some more details in the near future. What remains most important to all of us is the experience that you all receive every single day, the quality of care and services that we provide, and the strength of our community culture. We're proud that Springmore continues to be recognized in multiple respected publications, and most importantly, that you all continue to provide positive feedback every day. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. That was very good, and this is a wonderful place. I would like now to introduce Dave Gospodarik, our Vice President, to introduce our program for today.
Thank you, Barbara. As you can see, our topic today is understanding AI, Now, for you in the audience who have a farm background, this is not about artificial insemination. Thank you, Dave. Our speaker today is Celia Stafford. She is a doctoral candidate in healthcare management at Harvard Business School and a research affiliate at MIT Sloan. Her research explores how AI-assisted documentation tools alter clinical behavior and erode data quality with implications for downstream AI systems. If you ever interacted with a doctor through MyChart, that's it. Prior to her PhD, she worked in operations for a cybersecurity company and in research for the FDA and Harvard Medical School. Additionally, she has an MPH in biostatistics from UNC Chapel Hill, where her thesis was in machine learning approaches to predict attrition from opioid use, disorder treatment, and an undergrad degree in mathematics and economics from Emory University. Wow. Outside of work, Celia is learning how to ski with varying degrees of success. She loves animals of all kinds, enjoys baking new recipes without measuring anything, according to maybe her grandmother. Please welcome Celia Stafford.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday. My name is Celia. As he said, I am incredibly excited. We're going to talk and hold it. That's going to be better. I'm extremely excited to talk to you guys today, and the goal of this is to allow you to understand better what AI is, what it means for decisions that you guys make for yourselves, and what it potentially means for your grandchildren, your children, people around. I recognize that AI is a really, really broad term that's used for all sorts of things, and so hopefully I can provide a little bit of clarity on that. Who am I? He did a really good job of introducing, but the curse of this is the curse of knowledge, which means I am very close to AI on a daily basis. I use the tools every single day, and what that means is that I might not know what you don't know. And so if there's anything that is confusing or doesn't make sense, please raise your hand, holler, interrupt me. I would much prefer that this is interactive and useful, so please don't think of this as a lecture. This is supposed to be useful. Great. I'm going to make this a little bit interactive. So when you heard this talk was about AI, anyone want to say what they thought it was about? Sure. Artificial intelligence, great. Computers. Sorry? Alexa, great.
I thought it was because nobody thought we had enough real intelligence.
Yep, so we need the computers to give us real intelligence, extra intelligence. Yes. Short answer, all of these are correct, related, somehow attached to it. Our journey today is going to start with the fact that this is a word doing too much work. So AI is a term used across news articles all over the internet, everywhere, by every company trying to prove that they are doing something new, exciting, and different. Not all of it is AI. Second of all, I'm going to show you that you already actually know what AI is. The math is incredibly intuitive. To actually know what's happening, you're going to see it. I'm going to show why these AI tools are largely jack-of-all-trades tools that are not experts at any one thing per se. Show you why if you're scared, you're right. If you're excited, you're also right. There are pros and cons that are incredibly important. And then I'm going to finish with hopefully some practical tools on how to read the news and be able to know what's happening. So why is it a word doing too much work, and why does AI tell you approximately nothing by itself? So what if we called everything a vehicle? You have a bike that you can take 5 miles an hour or so, sometimes faster, by yourself, or a car that is engine driven and very, very fast, or something that flies in the air. All of these are vehicles to get you from point A to point B. This is about what AI is doing right now. So AI is a tool that refers to bicycles, cars and planes, and any other vehicles. This is confusing. And so if you feel confused every time you read something in the news and you're like, this is referring to everything computer related, that's true. This is lazy journalism. This is a lack of clarity in communication. And so hopefully we'll get some more clarity. So like I said, AI works the same way. It's used to refer from everything from your email spam filter to ChatGPT to a self-driving car to robotics to any number of things. And because of this, it has become in a way a marketing term more than a technical one. So many companies will throw it on their website to say, we do AI. But what does that actually mean? So there's a really wide spectrum, and this is in no way exhaustive. But we started with automation, and automation has been around forever and ever, not forever and ever, since you were very young, frankly. And so this is your thermostat. This is pressing a button to get an elevator to come. This is now a spam filter that is based upon rules in your email. If you say you want to delete everything that has the word subscribe in it, that is an example of automation. Another example is statistics at scale. I would bet, is anyone here a statistician or has done statistics at some point? I'm getting nods. Yes, we've got statisticians and PhDs in psychology and other things. So you have Netflix recommendations and credit card fraud alerts that are just based on statistics. So of the people in the room, I would estimate, 10% of you gave me some sort of nod about statistics. That is 1 in 10 of you having knowledge of this. Statistics at scale is just saying if 1 in 10 of these particular credit card frauds are caused by something, we can apply that in a certain way. Then you have machine learning, which is where computers take that sort of statistics and apply it a lot broader, and you get things like medical image scanning. So you see this a lot now. People are able to look at CT scans and X-rays and be able to see actually where the breaks are, sometimes better than a human can, because they're paying attention to things that we might not know to even think about. And so another part of AI is large language models. And so that is mostly what I'm going to talk about today, because large language models are what most people talk about in the news. This is Claude, ChatGPT, Llama, Grok. There are Meta AI, but large language models are mostly what I will talk about today. Mostly because this is probably what your grandchildren are talking about in their day-to-day life. So what is artificial intelligence? This is one definition. There isn't a good one. This comes from a executive order from 2020, so is in the Federal Register, but this is one of 6 definitions of AI in that same document. So this is any artificial system that performs tasks under varying and unpredictable circumstances without significant human oversight, or one that can learn from experience and improve its own performance when it's exposed to new or different data sets. So this is just math that learns. Hey, I did it one way one time. I'm going to see what the payoff was and get better. Yes, please.
I'm just going to make a comment.
Please.
You read in the News and Observer this morning that today happens to be the anniversary of the date that IBM's Deep Blue computer first beat Gary Kasparov in a chess tournament almost 30 years ago. That was the early onset of AI.
Absolutely. And so another thing with this is that AI is not new. AI in this computer that learns way has been around for decades. And there was this interesting kind of technological winter that we can talk about the reasons for that if you want to find me at dinner. But there was this kind of dip. And then afterwards, in the last several years, we had some major breakthroughs in terms of what these models are able to do. It's not new. That 30 years ago, IBM was able to first beat a human. So first I want to show you that you already know the math, even intuitively. So if I show you a graph of age versus blood pressure over time, what do you notice? It's going up, absolutely. And so what you're intuitively doing is saying, hey, there's a trend here that I should pay attention to. And what the statisticians in the room know is that this is regression. So we've added a trend line that allows you to see what the average is over time. And so all you're doing is finding a pattern in the data and predicting an unknown output with that pattern. And so with this trend line, if I find a random 80-year-old in the room here, I don't actually know what their personal systolic or diastolic blood pressure is. But based upon the observed data, I can say, you know, they're going to be somewhere around 176 on their top number. Probably not. This is not real medical data. This was an arbitrary example. But that's all you're doing is saying, for someone that I don't know, the average in this age group is here. That's what it is. And so the statisticians in the room spent their entire careers doing this sort of thing. And large language models use the same intuition, but instead of predicting blood pressure from age, they're predicting the next word based upon all of the words before and around it. And so a simple example is if my model is trained on data, and I have two pieces of data, and one is happy birthday, and one is happy Friday. If I say happy, what do you think the next word is going to be? Or what's the likelihood? What do we think are the chances that I'm going to have one versus the other? Well, it's going to be 50-50. Because if I only have two things that I'm training on, it can be happy birthday or it can be happy Friday. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, because it doesn't know that. It only has these two pieces of data. And so if I change this and add a third document that says Happy Tuesday to my training data, what are my chances? What's going to happen?
30%.
Exactly. You've got 30, 30, 30, or 33 if we're being specific. And so now scale that up to every book, every article, every web page ever written, every tweet on Twitter, every Facebook post, every video. If he's putting this on the internet right now, there will be a transcript of me speaking that is going to be trained into these models, if this is publicly available data. Everything that any person says is part of what these models are being trained on. And that does really interesting things for what is important and what happens and what gets said. And so if you've ever heard that AI lies, or AI makes things up, or AI hallucinates, what's actually happening? So it's not lying. It has no concept of falsehood. It is doing precisely what it was built to do, which is produce the most statistically likely sequence of words. That's it. And so if, for example, I'm asking about Katharine Hepburn and a movie title, the model has seen a series of words together over and over and over again. We've got Hepburn and Hollywood and films and Bringing Up Baby and Morning Glory and Little Women. And it could confidently, seemingly confidently because of the way that it talks, come up with a movie that doesn't exist. Because it's very simply predicting the next likely word. It's not retrieving something. This is not a search from the internet. There are certain tools that now you can search, but this is predicting, is what these models are doing. And so that same intuition is here, But there's something important that happens mathematically, and I know that this diagram is confusing, so we're going to walk through it together. So these models are looking for something called semantic difference. And what that is when you have two words, there is some mathematical representation of them. Think about it as an arbitrary stream of numbers for every word in the dictionary. And based upon all of these training sets from Twitter and everything else, it is figuring out what each word means in math. But that number is meaningless. The computer doesn't speak English. The computer doesn't understand English or there's no definitions in this. It is math. That is all that's happening is arbitrary math. And so this is a dimensional space, a numerical representation of these words. And the difference between woman and man, mathematically, it turns out, is the same difference between king and queen. Because the only difference in these words, in how our language understands them, is gender. You are switching that from man to woman. But then you can think about that difference in a different dimension, which is that woman to queen or man to power. And what is changing is power. You are giving them some sort of increase in, power, I guess, is the best word. And so the distance between woman and queen is the same distance between man and king. That's all that's happening here. And again, I know this is confusing. But this is regression on steroids, is really what's happening. It's just find the pattern in the data and predict your unknown output with that. And so mathematically, we're saying, what is the location of the meaning of the next word that is most likely? And when I show you bringing up infant, you have a visceral reaction. That's not the title of the movie. It's bringing up baby. But the problem is that baby and infant are very, very close in their semantic difference. And so the math said, these are in the same spot. How would I know that it's bringing up baby and not bringing up infant? Because the math and the numbers and the model have no idea. There's no way to know because these are the same thing. And so the question becomes, in my training set, so if I had, my 3 with birthday Friday and Tuesday, I guess was the 3rd, in my training set, does the word baby appear more often or does the word infant appear more often? And so if infant is more commonly used in the English language, then I'm going to get bringing up infant. That's where these hallucinations or lies come from. And so what's interesting about this is that a certain term going viral can influence these things in real time because the models are constantly being retrained and updated. And so if I have a new movie that comes out with a word in the title that is uncommon, or if I have a new tweet that goes viral with some sort of term that isn't actually English, that term will end up with mathematical meaning that can kind of get in the way of what is real, that we know is real because it's what the dictionary says that something is. And so, I basically said this. When predicting the next most likely word after bringing up baby, baby and infant are effectively identical to the model. So that's where it goes wrong. Yes?
Your lightning or everything is math with AI. So words, I'm listening carefully and trying to understand.
Yeah.
How and who makes the actual data input of all of this information?
This is a great question. So her question, if you couldn't hear it, was if the words are math and all of these models are math representations, who is actually putting in the meaning? And the answer is no one. The answer is that these are learned by the computer. And so all it does is say, if I have 1,000,000 billion words, quite literally, and happy and birthday always appear next to each other, then these words are going to be closer in this semantic space. And so that's why your left arrow here is bringing up, which is somewhere in space. That's just a number. It could be 5,000. It's something. The computer learns based upon all of the data how close two words are. That's all that's really happening. And so there's no actual meaning. It's only math. And I know that's very meta and confusing. Yes, please.
When one requests information from the AI,
Yep.
how do we know the information received is correct or accurate?
You can't. And so he asked, if you request information from AI, how do you know if it's correct or not? You can't. Directly within the tool itself. There are now kind of layers within ChatGPT and Claude and others where they will give you the source and it will give you an actual link to what information it's used to answer your question. You can click that. Half the time the links don't exist. The tools are getting better. They are. And so I'm an academic. I do a lot of research, and I very often will use the tools as kind of a cursory, hey, I need help with this topic. I don't know anything about it. Give me a crash course. And so very frequently, it will make up a paper title because my advisor is a woman named Amy Edmondson. Amy Edmondson does research on something called psychological safety. It will hallucinate a paper title that sounds like something she would have written because it is close, but she never wrote that paper. And so the only way that I know that is by doing a library search and double checking and looking for the source on that information. That's the only way that you can. Yeah?
This is why your phone always puts in wrong spelling or the wrong word on your text message.
It's certainly part of it. So he said, this is why your phone does the wrong spelling or wrong words. And we know that these tools are giving us the next most likely word. And sometimes if you have previously used a misspelled word a lot of times, or the training data is messed up on that particular day, you can get the wrong word being kind of put in. Okay. Cool. Yes? Absolutely. So it is particularly dangerous for students. I'm teaching a class right now that it physically pains me trying to grade the assignments and looking at the fact that 8 out of 10 answers are clearly AI generated and the same and wrong. And they're not on the surface, not wrong, but wrong when you think very deeply about it. And this is actually a perfect segue into why are these a jack of all trades and a master of none? And what are the superpowers, limitations in your job? Yes?
Related to that, all these young people today that are applying for jobs, they're usually looking at what they're asking about, and a lot of their answers are the same, and they said a lot of them, they don't even look at the application, they're just AI generated.
Correct. And so she's talking about people applying for jobs and how often the actual applications are AI generated. And this creates a massive burden for companies who no longer have the ability to search through and even select good candidates because everything is AI generated. And I'm going to get into what this does to kind of dynamics of data quality here in a minute. So AI is optimized for the average response. I'm going to say that again. It's optimized for the average response. Like I said, this is regression at scale. This is giving you the most common answer. And so it's really good at drafting a birthday note or summarizing a long, confusing document or writing a recipe from what's in the fridge because there are 100 million examples of each of these things online that are beautifully, wonderfully written. And it's the same thing with a medical term in plain English. There are YouTube videos of medical students saying, hey, I'm going to explain what a coronary catheterization is, and then explain in real, normal people words what that means. But what it's not good at is edge cases and specifics and anything requiring genuine novelty. People ask a lot, am I afraid that it's going to take my job? No. I'm getting my PhD. It is my job to create something new that doesn't exist. And so when the technology is only able to give you the average of what exists, you can't take my job. Importantly, it gives you things that are the wisdom of the crowd. And so I want to call back to that kind of virality piece that I said of if you have something go viral online that is not scientific advice, not true or fact, but it goes viral, that becomes more highly represented in your training data. And so that can appear as the answer, even though it's not correct, even though it's not true. And so will AI take my grandchildren's jobs? The strange thing is that the graphic designers say it's really good for copy editing, and the editors say it's really great for making quick flyers, and the sociologists say it writes really good psychological academic papers, and the psychologists say it writes good sociology papers. And what is happening here is everyone thinks it's good at what they are not an expert in. And that is dangerous. And that is what is so valuable about people. And so what happens is the floor goes up. And this is that job application thing. So it makes really, really competent first drafts and very passable flyers and coherent memos. And they can now be produced by basically anyone. I can write about astrophysics. I know nothing about astrophysics, and I shouldn't be writing about astrophysics, but I can. And the cost of that is approximately zero. And so when everyone can write something passable for zero cost, the merely competent middle is very vulnerable. So if you're not adding anything, that is scary. That is hard and is going to precipitate a change. But what happens is the ceiling also gets higher and it becomes more expensive. And so if the average is free, what you're paying for is judgment and taste and decision making, and the people who know what question to ask, and someone who importantly bears responsibility for that answer. There are a lot of really interesting kind of legal implications of who actually bears the responsibility for making a choice for a company or an organization. And so the ceiling gets higher and it becomes more valuable. And the transition is not going to be painless for everyone, whether this resembles the printing press or the loom or the calculator. We don't actually know what's going to happen yet. But there will be change, but we continue to require human judgment and expertise and knowledge generation because what is new and creative and different is valuable and important. And edge cases are incredibly important and valuable. And so, great question. This is a term we use a lot in academia, and I forget that that is not a normal term, and so this is a great question. So edge case is when you have a bell curve. So everyone exists in the middle somewhere, and I'm exceptionally tall. I can promise you I'm probably taller than everyone in this room. I am an edge case because I am at the very top end of that bell curve. But most people are somewhere in the middle. And the other end of that bell curve would be someone who's really, really short. So those are edge cases. So the people who are not existing in this average middle space where most people are. Cool. Okay. So if you're scared, you're right. There are real threats that I will validate. An example of this is deepfakes, which is a term you may have seen. And we are getting to a place where seeing something is not enough to believe it, unfortunately. And that's terrifying. It's terrifying to me. And so what is a deepfake? If one of these models has seen enough photos and videos and hears enough of someone speaking, it can generate an entirely new image of that person doing or saying something that they never said before. That's terrifying. I feel like my memory is bad. I cannot imagine what it feels like as you age and you know your memory is getting worse. If someone presented me with a video of me saying something, I hope I would remember enough to say, I didn't say that. That's ridiculous. But I don't know. What if I did? And then I think I would become paranoid and terrified, and if someone's threatening legal action against me, that's horrifying. What a terrifying prospect. And so we have a Taylor Swift case in the last couple of weeks, actually, where in 2024, someone created explicit AI-generated images of her, and these went viral and went kind of all over the internet. And in 2024, there were images of her spread by political people showing that she endorsed a political candidate who she didn't. This is completely fake. She knows it's fake. Everyone knows it's fake because of a lot of reasons. And so just a few weeks ago, she filed a trademark application to protect both her voice and likeness. But this is illegal first. And the reason this is different is that copyright law protects copies of real recordings. These aren't real recordings. This is something new that is fake, that is created. And so there are kind of defamation angles to making this illegal. There's all sorts of ways that we can hopefully maybe possibly get this litigated. I'm not a lawyer, so this is not my expertise. But right now, this isn't covered because it is completely new and different. So that's dangerous. Yes, please.
When I read about the Taylor Swift case, the question came to me is, why can I not trademark my own voice, my own image, even my email address, so that I can dictate who uses it and who cannot use it?
Yeah.
Furthermore, everybody seems to be getting revenue off selling my email address. Why can't I get some of that?
Yeah. So he's asking if he could trademark his name and likeness and photos and even email address to make sure that when other people, organizations, Costco, Macy's, somebody random sells my email address, why can't I get paid for that? Again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't. I'm only kind of slightly speculating based upon what I know, which is that sounds like a good idea. I don't know how trademarks work.
I consulted a patent attorney. He couldn't answer my question.
It's an excellent question. And so I think that she went the copyright route, or she filed the trademark. So I think she's the first to do that. And yeah, it sounds like a good idea to me. The problem in my mind is enforceability. And so a lot of people have suggested, hey, do we add some sort of like stamp, or you know how you can have a watermark on a photo that says this is original by this person and they'll remove it if you buy the picture, things like that. There are now AI-based ways to remove watermarks and add watermarks, and it's very difficult to kind of enforce and tell what is real and what's not, and that's part of the problem, is we can't actually tell what is true. We're working on it. Not to add something like totally unrelated, but there are people suggesting that maybe we should use something called blockchain technology, which is basically a really, 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 really gigantic number that is a unique code for everything created, but it's kind of like crypto, and the more math you do, the more expensive it gets to find the next one, and it's all very complicated. But there are people actively doing research on this exact issue in the lab that I work in. Okay, so the scam toolkit and how to protect yourself. So the threat is big. AI can clone a voice from just 30 seconds of audio. So if someone calls me and talks about something silly and they hear me talking about, I don't know, cars, they can very easily say, "Grandma, I'm in trouble. Wire money to me now." AI can write convincing personalized scam emails at scale. And so all they need is someone selling your email address from Harris Teeter this week to know that you bought toothpaste and toilet paper and 3 other things. And they can say, based upon this purchase that you had this week at the Harris Teeter on Thursday at 3 p.m., you owe me money because of X, Y, and Z. It's very easy to write these sorts of like scary things because they feel very personalized to you. And you're like, I know I did that. Maybe I didn't pay my credit card bill this month, so I owe them money because it didn't go through. These things are intended to be scary and make you flinch. And you can also have Facebook ads that are asking for your grandkids' names and photos to make a personalized book for them personally, or a t-shirt with their face on it. Unfortunately for these, their data is the product. They don't actually care that you're paying them $6 to make this or have a song about them or whatever it is. That doesn't matter. They're paying you for data on you or your loved ones because of what they can do with this information and learn about them. And so what is your defense? One is I would recommend having some sort of family code word. And anyone claiming to be your family needs to say it before you do anything or give them money or give them any data, especially if it's coming from a number you don't recognize. And so this goes to the third point, which is when in doubt, if you feel like scared, that probably means it's a scam, because your family is not contacting you with some way to scare you. They're saying, I need help, which is very different than you need to help me right now. Like, if you feel scared, that's probably a sign. Ask questions that only they could answer. Does Uncle Tom like turkey? I don't know. And then just remember that personal data about other people or yourself is largely not worth sharing, pretty much in general. You can give them a really, really nice photo that you drew, like my grandmother does all the time. She gives us cards that she paints herself, and they're beautiful, and she doesn't need AI to create that because it's not as creative and lovely as what she does. And it can't be, because it's creating things that are an average of everything else, not actual creativity. So I also want to talk about misinformation at an industrial scale. And so the same tools that write these really good birthday cards and everything else can create slightly false news articles over and over and over and over and over again, targeted at any specific person, community, identity, etc. And so when you're reading news, pay attention to articles that feel smooth and authoritative and check the citations. So try to find where information comes from. I see constantly things that look terrifying. So it's a photo and you're like, oh my gosh, this was actually in Israel. This was actually in a space. And then you do the reverse image search or find where it comes from, and it's from like 2014. They are using that to scare you right now, but it doesn't always happen right now. Also, remember authors or experts you've never heard of with impressive sounding credentials. Maybe find out who they are. A quick Google search, not an AI search, and a Google search can hopefully tell you if these people exist or not. Again, headlines that produce strong emotion, so that same like outrage, fear, like if you get really upset about something instantaneously, maybe a sign that it's written in a way that it is not balanced and is intended to make you feel something. And so healthy skepticism about sources is more important now than at any point in your lifetime, because information you used to be able to trust, and now you can't, largely. Sometimes you can. Listen to people you trust and find experts that you trust and enjoy. But yeah. Okay, I'm done with the doom and gloom. So if you're excited, you're also correct. And so there are a lot of things that AI is genuinely changing for the better. I'm a researcher in healthcare. AI catches things that human eyes miss in x-rays and scans. It is accelerating drug discovery. It is actively making your doctor more accurate in their treatment of your conditions. It can help with everyday life. It's really good at explaining insurance bills or having it draft a letter to your tax and estate lawyer or getting a recipe for whatever is in the fridge. It's really good at coding and software development. So me personally, tasks that used to take me months to write code for and do the analysis for now can be completed without the assistance of other people, and so it makes it cheaper and easier. And people with vision loss or hearing difficulties or difficulty typing have massive accessibility gains. And there are startups all over the world trying to solve problems for people like you, people like me, to make life easier and better. And so it's really amazing, the things that it can do. And so last, I want to finish with just a couple little things about how to read the newspaper and what to think when you're trying to go through your daily life. Okay. So 3 questions to kind of cut through the hype. One is, what kind of AI is this? I kind of mentioned this in the beginning. We have automation, which is a spam filter. You have language generation, which are these ChatGPT, Claude, et cetera models. And these are fundamentally different. And so if the article doesn't say actually what the tool is, the journalist probably doesn't know either. I'm going to say that again. They probably don't know either. So if they're not being clear about their language and you feel confused, that's probably on them, not you. And so who benefits from the claim is equally important. So AI is overhyped by people selling it and underhyped and demonized by people who are threatened by it. And so think about and ask, who funded the study? Who issued the press release? Is it Oracle? Is it ChatGPT? Like, who is actually behind these things? And what are the costs of it and to whom? And then finally, where are the edge cases? So if the story doesn't talk about kind of where it fails or what the limitations are on the up or down side, it's probably some sort of press release in disguise or somebody being paid to say what they're saying about how great it is or how terrible it is. So all powerful tools have failure modes and have things they're not good at. And so make sure that you hear about them and know them and understand them. And so I'll finish with 5 things to remember. 1, AI is a really big umbrella of a lot of things. So always ask what kind and what is it doing. 2, LLMs, so large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and the others you would have access to. They predict likely words and they do not know truth from fiction. They are not lying, they don't know. Have a family code word, so anyone claiming to be family or needing something can tell it to you, and don't ever tell that to anyone else. It needs to be an in-person discussion to figure out what it is. When in doubt, hang up and call back on a number you already know. People keep their cell phones on them. You know that your grandkids are not losing their cell phone. So if they're calling you from a random phone number, that's probably not real. And then never share personal details for a gift online or book about your family or free help, because the data is the product. So you are the first generation to witness this. Your skepticism, wisdom, and questions matter enormously. So keep learning, asking questions, and asking people to explain. So thank you so much. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to email me, or right now we have a little time.
So there are a ton of different AIs.
Yep.
When I ask my computer a question, AI always pops up. Is that Google's product? Or whose product is it?
So I cannot tell you about your specific computer. It depends what browser you're using.
I'm
It
not
depends.
using Google because I don't like it.
Well, so Google is not a browser. So it depends if you're using Chrome or Safari or any number of
Okay,
things.
See, that's even confusing.
I understand. So computers have different browsers.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them is owned by someone.
So if I'm using Safari, is the AI that pops up theirs?
If you're using Safari, it likely belongs to them. I don't have a Mac, so I'm not super familiar with it. But I will say, like within Microsoft Edge, it gives you Copilot because that is the Microsoft AI. And so typically the AI tool that is provided to you is owned by whoever is the browser, or like Facebook has their own, Google has their own. Yeah. So the question of who benefits, who owns, who gets the data, it's what you're using. Yeah.
Do these AI data centers require petabytes or more of storage for all of this stuff?
Oh, yes.
You happen to know, is it more than petabytes? Is it another scale? level up,
I
or-
could, so the scale is growing super, super, super rapidly.
Right,
And
okay.
there are many, many different models. And so it depends what model is being used, how large the data need to be. I have certain models that I have housed locally on my machine. So these are far less than that. The smallest are like 12 gigabytes, something like that.
One other thing, Musk apparently is going to put his data centers in orbit around the Earth. What do you think about that? Have you heard about that or know anything?
I very much have heard about it. It's a super complicated question because you have to think about, A, what powers them. And so largely these are going to be solar based, which is the point of putting it there. Solar panels have not held up quite as well as the predictions were that we would hope.
Yeah.
The sun is super, super powerful. And so the charging panels die faster than we would hope.
Oh,
and so to me, the technology isn't there to be able to stick it in the sky and have it live for any sort of like long-term future. I don't think the tech is there yet. I think that there are good things about this, but I think it's over-engineered right now.
So the land-based ones are going to be in our future for longer than maybe some people would like to see. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have complicated feelings on whether we should have more, but that's a kind of separate question. Other questions? Sure.
I was just going to address what this lady said. Tell me if I'm wrong. I believe that if you Google something and behind it you do like the hyphen, the minus sign, capital A, capital I, then the first thing that pops up will not be an AI answer. It eliminates minus AI. So try that.
I was going to say, if I was attached to the internet, I would check that right now, but I don't think I have the Wi-Fi. But potentially, I believe you. Hey, this is why I'm trusting a real person instead of asking the internet.
Are there any more questions?
I was going to say, any more?
Thank you, Cass.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cassie, and thank you all. We are going to have the drawing for the door prizes right now. Oh, David, what is our program for next month?
Campus ministry.
Campus ministry, 1 month. 1 month. And I can't tell you right now, it's in June, but it's the 8th. June the 8th. Yep, that's right. Okay, Cassie? This is from the blue side, 1479-670. The blue one, right back there. John? At the very back, next to Murphy. Okay. Yeah, one more.
I was here first.
And this is from the red side, 026114. Oh my goodness, how great. That's Kata Riggin from South Village. Thank you, Kata. And thank you all for being here. We appreciate it so much. And you that are watching on 1341, thank you. And we'll see you in a month. This meeting is adjourned.